if you want to learn how to turn this into this, stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to RAI Ventures. My name's John. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. If you know who we are, welcome back. As of today's filming, we are at 201 subscribers. I want to thank each and every one of you for subscribing to the channel. Today, I'm in my family's business's warehouse. If you're used to the channel, you know I do a lot of my projects in here when I have free time. Today is light whip repair on Ryan's Ace. So, that being said, let's jump into it. We bought these LED light whips. I won't say from where or anything like that, because a little bit was my fault and a little bit was the company's fault. I wouldn't say misadvertisement, but they did not hold up to the abuse of just one day of riding. So to show you up close with the light whips off, I'm gonna flip this camera around. Okay, if I can get my camera to focus right there. Okay, right there. And right there. This was just shrink tube. And from hitting trees and stuff, it broke the coating. Now the light whips on his Ace, they were 4-foot light bulbs. If I turn these on, you can see that the LEDs don't work, or moisture got in there and like shorted them out. They work the rest of the way up. And if I put it on demo mode, you can see it's not all the LEDs. So I marked this section on the shrink tubing. Turn that off before everybody gets sick. And I took out the dead section, and with that one over there, I ended up with 27 inches. Now I did put shrink tube back on it because I thought it'd be too rigid if I put a hard case around the outside like other light whips have. So we'll have to see how that goes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this light whip off and I'm going to pretty much dissect it. I'm going to unwrap all the LEDs. This section up here, they have a jumper wire going through there so they could clamp this for a flag. My son doesn't want flags, so I'm just going to eliminate this whole top section, maybe use it for something else. Alright, first things first, I'm going to cut this little black shrink tube off of here. Need something sharp first. Just nick it, then you can rip it right off. Okay, the next thing I did is I marked where the last working diode is. Right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little slit, then I'm going to rip it up to there, and I'm going to mark that one. Okay, I'm going to take my Sharpie. This is the last working diode. So I potentially want to cut it right there. Now I'm going to finish. I need to remove these two flag holders. Thought I had a wrench here, but I guess I don't, so I'll be back. Okay, I removed the one already. Then I loosened this one. Then what I do is with this plastic end cap, because I want to reuse it, I'm trying to do this without having to buy anything. So I take my pliers and I lightly squeeze without cutting it, and I twist it until it pulls off, because they put a little bit of silicone on there to glue it on. So I'll set this aside. This flag mount, now that it's loose, I should be able to pull that off. Trees took a beating on that. Too bad he doesn't want a flag, so I ain't worried about it. Then I'm going to finish ripping this. I'm not going to cut it because I don't want to hit anything, so I'm just going to keep ripping it all the way up. Put that in the garbage. Okay, then starting from the top going down, they have electrical tape on here. I'm going to undo the electrical tape. Then I'm going to come down here to the bottom flag mount where they have more electrical tape. I'm going to untape it there, if I can. I'm going to take my soldering gun, I'm going to plug it in, and I'm going to undo these wires. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to heat this up. And I'm going to undo the LEDs. Set them aside. Then I'm just going to repeat the process all the way down. Hold on. This right here, I didn't disturb that. I just leave it in there. It's like a gauge that they have on there so they know how to start the spiral. Okay, here I need the plug. So again, I'm gonna unsolder these wires. I know it's hard for the camera to see, but one, two, three, four. Now I'm going to go down this strip until I see my cut mark. It's right there. So on these strips of LEDs, where this brass tab is, there's a symbol of a scissor. You can only cut there where it's marked to cut. That's the only place you can cut. If you cut it somewhere else, then they won't work. It gets out of sync. So here's my black mark. I want to cut it off there. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut these. Should be garbage. Hopefully I didn't ruin them more because I just ripped my chair over them. And then I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to trim some of this rubber coating back. Okay, so now I got the, let's see if I can get you a good angle. Okay, it doesn't have the rubber coating on it anymore. Then the easiest way I found to do this was to lay my strips out. Then I just like stuck it to my desk. Then the finer point that you have on a soldering iron, the easier this part will be, because you got to solder these little wires back onto the little copper pads. I admit this is not the right tool I should be using, but it's all I have. So this part's going to be a little tricky for me. As soon as I figure out where my solder went, right there. So I'm going to pull out a piece of solder. I'm going to try and re-tin the wires and re-tin the copper pad. Oh, what's going on? The solder is getting screaming hot, but it won't melt. Then I'm going to start with my 12-volt wire. Your LED strip is marked with a 12V. If I start swearing and throwing things, you know this ain't going well. Why won't you stick? Alright, I'll be back once I get this soldered on. It's going to be a pain in the... I went and I bought a new... Let's come down here. A new soldering iron with a really sharp point. So now I'm trying to solder these wires onto this little strip, and it's not going that well. But I am getting it. Now the real tricky part is making sure your wires, your solder doesn't touch the other colors. And I got the black, which is my R on the LED strip, is touching the B terminal, so I got to try and get it back off of it. So you want it to look something like that. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run this out. I'm going to plug it into the socket on the ACE, turn them on, and make sure that all the diodes still work. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to wrap it up back on the flagpole. Alright, good news. They all work. So now I'm going to go back to the pole, and I marked it, and I marked the pole. That's how long the other one is. So no matter what, I need to end my LEDs by there so that both of them are even. Alright, I got so much crap on my desk. Starting with the end that we just put the plug on. I'm going to take a piece of electrical tape just to hold it till I get it started. Okay, I'm right here. I want the black sheathing to be right about there. Once I get a couple wraps of LEDs, I'm going to put the tape on it. And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to wind these all back up. And hopefully I get to my mark before I run out of LEDs. If not, I'll have to go out and shorten the other one. If it's close, I'm going to leave it go. But if I'm a couple inches off, then I'm going to be in trouble, because Ryan will kick my butt if they don't match. I'm also thinking, but I don't know how to do it because I don't work with these LEDs much. But I think I'm going to use the spare LEDs that are still good that I took off the top in between the flag. I would like to put them inside our headlights somehow, but I don't know if I'd have to buy some type of controller so that I could change the colors. I have to experiment with them. I'll get like a battery or something and I'll experiment with them. Almost done running out of LEDs. I am short. That one there must have had a lot more bad LEDs. Well, I'd take a time out while I think about this, but there's my mark. There's where my LEDs ran out. So I'm that short to keep the whips even. So I am going to see if I can somehow splice into that. Alright, I got my splice on. I recorded this once, but for some reason it didn't record. I wrapped it up to my mark, which is right there. Then I backed up to the next available cut mark where my cap fits on. Now I'm wrapping it up with electrical tape. Just shy of my stop point. Just like that. This end's going to get cut off. Then I'm going to shrink tube the whole thing. Alright, I don't know where we're at in the filming of this because I got so freaking frustrated. When I cut the end LED, my splice quit working. So what I found was easier was I heated it up, I took out all the wires, and I just bridged the gap with solder. That was the easiest way I seen to do it. So now, I mean, I got a messy, it's right there. I got a messy hole there, but at least they work. So back down here on the bottom, I'm going to take this tape off now that I got it on there. This is 100% silicone. It's white. It's just what I had here. If I could suggest, I would probably do it with clear, but when I'm all done, nobody's gonna see this. What I'm doing is I'm pumping a little out on a napkin. Easiest way I found to do this, I'm going to roll this around to where I did the bottom solder. I'm just going to take a little silicone right over that. Don't know if it actually does anything, but it makes me feel better. Then this channel here where these wires go, I'm going to put some in there. Like I said, don't really know if you need to do that. I just don't want moisture getting up in there like it did before. And then get this all off my fingers. Throw this out before I wear it. I'm gonna tear off a chunk of electrical tape. And then right here at the first LED, I'm going to tightly wrap it with electrical tape again. Now see, before there was space where this wire comes out from the shrink tube, and I think water was getting up in there and it started shorting all these out. I could be wrong, but they definitely were not watertight. I have to say that. We noticed moisture in them before the coating broke on them. So now I'm going to cut the end off just with a hacksaw. I'm going to cut it off right at my 24-inch mark. It's 27 inches from the metal base to the tip. Alright, got the end cut off. Now what I have here, I ordered this through usplastics.com. We have an account with them through work. But it was 1 inch in diameter, clear heat shrink tube. I think this one said that it would not yellow, so we'll try it. Like this one started to yellow. I think you can find it on Amazon, or I'm not positive, but you might be able to find it at Lowe's or Home Depot. I didn't look there. But I'm going to slip this. Make sure you get all the dirt off because you don't want dirt inside your tube. I'm going to slip it over it. I am going to take this down there as far as I can because it'll shrink up. Then what I did is I took my scissors and, alright, can you see? I cut it bigger than my pole, and we'll cut it the length after it's shrunk. So it's about 1 inch bigger. Down here at the bottom, I shoved it down as close to the metal as I can get it. Just like that. Alright, now up here on the end, I'm going to cut it off, the shrink tube off, flush with the plastic rod that goes up through the middle. Then my cap, I'm gonna put a little bit of my silicone up here on top. I just want enough to seal the shrink tube off. Then I'm going to put my black plastic cap on. push it down on. Now the only other thing I'm gonna add is I'm gonna order, I wanna see how big, I need to order black shrink tube, probably 1 inch, and I'm gonna put black shrink tube from where the tape is down, and I wanna try and overlap this metal so when it shrinks it's tight. Other than that, this is a finished product. Let's go put it on and show you what they look like. All right, there you go. Both LEDs are shorter, but all the LEDs work. They work in unison with the remote. All in all, I think this project, the tedious part was the soldering. You need real tiny solder. Let's just go ahead and shut this off. You need real tiny tools to solder the little LEDs. That was my first attempt with LEDs. So I do have a Christmas tree project I want to try and do with LEDs, so I may even have a couple Halloween projects what I want to put LEDs in. So that being said, leave me a comment of what you thought of it. Any questions, put them down there in the comment section and I'll answer them. And other than that, catch you later.